Hello. How are you doing this evening? I am. Apologies, I just had a little bit of a throat clearing moment there. As you can see, I've got my isolation booth removed, and I've moved my ring light so that lighting is a little bit better. Maybe a little intense. Maybe I'll turn it down just a little bit. I think that's a little better. So, how are you, my friends? My cyber friends, YouTube friends, people who have discovered this odd channel. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're feeling good. So I've temporarily dismantled my isolation booth, just for the short term, because I finally received the materials I needed, and I'm taking a couple of weeks vacation soon. So I'm going to pick up the rest of the building supplies I need to assemble it in a much better fashion. As a result, it will be relatively easy for me to set up and take down at a whim. And I say this because I don't want it to occupy a great deal of space in my apartment. I want to be able to fold it up and put it away, or stick it in a corner so that, now that COVID is, well, far from over, of course, but as most of the people in my life that I hold near and dear and would, come over to have a visit are fully vaccinated, and we still, to a certain degree, maintain pretty tight bubbles, I can have guests again. So that's a nice thing. Anyway, I was hoping to come on this evening and create some decent content for you. And I have a lot to say, and I hope that it can be helpful. I hope that it can give you some sort of peace of mind, and maybe a sense of well-being. I don't know if I'm capable of that, but I will do my best. And of course, I always like to provide a little bit of whisper content for those who really like it and ask for it. I try and do as much as I can for everyone. I'm not about to clear my throat into the microphone if I can avoid it. So, you can see the collection of boots that I have. There's more. I'm a bit of a clothes whore, as the saying goes. So this evening it was my father's 80th birthday. So I got together with some family members. We went out and had dinner. Yeah, we went to a local establishment called the Delicious Steakhouse. And it actually is exactly as described. They lived up to their name, which is quite wonderful. Now, steakhouses used to be fairly commonplace, 40 plus years ago. Growing up, they were very common. Anybody remember the Ponderosa? There used to be sort of an equivalent in North America and Canada, especially to the red lobster. As a matter of fact, most red lobsters stores were previously the Ponderosa, which were chain steakhouses. They had a giant all-you-can-eat salad bar, which was, wasn't terrible. And their steaks were not terrible. I say that through, I guess, somewhat rose-colored glasses. Possibly because some of the first times I had a steak that wasn't cooked by my father on the barbecue in a restaurant was at the Ponderosa. You gotta remember, my folks are boomers, so I think I was 32 the first time I had a rare steak and didn't understand the appeal to it because it was always, has to be gray, cooked through. I was definitely over 30 when that happened. And I was cooking a steak on the barbecue, and a roommate I had back at the time. There were 4 dudes living in this house, and our rent was $250 Canadian a month, which, trust me when I say this, is nothing. Nothing. It was ridiculous how cheap it was, and we all chose to live there because of that, because we were able to travel the world and do whatever we wanted. Anyway, that was a lifetime ago. So, I'm in the backyard on the barbecue, cooking a steak, and one of my roommates, Mich, short for Michel, Français, Michel, you would translate to Michael or Mike. Anyway, Mich comes home and he sees me cooking up a steak, and he's, "What are you doing?" I'm cooking a steak. He watches me, he goes, "Damn it, man. Give me that." Grabs a steak and literally throws it in the yard for the dog to eat. He let it cool before we let the dog out in the backyard to eat it. And he goes into the house and he pulls out 2 steaks from the fridge and he says, "This is mine, this is yours. I'm going to show you how to cook it." He goes, 30 seconds aside to sear, press down hard, flip, press down hard, flip again, minute and a half, flip, minute and a half, flip, minute and a half, flip, minute and a half. That's it, put it on the plate. I'm like, he goes, "Put it on the plate." So sure enough, we go in the house, he cuts his steak. He says, "That's what a steak should look like." I cut my steak and look at it and he goes, "Trust me." I took one bite and went, it was like the skies opened, triumphant choirs from heavens came down. I'm like, is this how a steak is supposed to taste? Yes, my friend. Welcome to the fold. You can see that my voice gets a little hoarse because it's actually kind of late. It's about 11:30 p.m. on a Wednesday evening, and it's ragweed season here in the nation's capital of Ottawa, Canada. And as a result, it can affect my sinuses and my voice as well. It's nothing like it used to be when I was much younger. It was, so much worse. But as I've gotten older, I've, to a certain degree, grown out of it. Somebody asked me recently, why is it oftentimes when I speak into the mic, they're like, I don't think that's really your voice because I can't see your lips moving. I was like, fair enough. I get that, but you see, the point of ASMR is audio quality. And let's face it, the further you are away from the microphone, the less the quality. These are near-field microphones, and as I move back away from the microphone, although you can still see my lips moving and you know that it's me talking, the sound quality is quite diminished because I'm getting further and further away. And it's barely audible right now. And no one wants that. Oh, there goes my chair. But now, as I approach the microphone, my voice just gets a little bit better and slightly more enticing. Okay. So, let's talk about mental health for a few minutes, shall we? How is yours? No, I really do want to know. Please comment. Let me know how you're doing. I want to help you. I want to help you. I don't know that I can, but I will certainly do my darndest to do exactly that. So, earlier this evening, my anxiety was kind of peaking. Largely work-related. There's a project that's been giving me a headache throughout the entire summer because I've been working on it for, since early July. I think I started the project on my birthday, so July 5th, I started working on this project. And it was wrought with a multitude of problems. I'm not getting into the specifics or naming names. That's not what I do here. But some of the problems, as you can well imagine, were quite stressful. And stress, as you know, is a killer. And we don't want that. The situation got pretty rough because there was a tight timeline and a great deal of work needed to be done in that timeline. Now, the crew I had that I was working with met the deadline. They had to have the construction completed by a certain date. That being said, there was a severe augmentation in the project. Again, I'm not going into details, but an increased workload, which increased the stress load, and anyway, it's been tough on my mind. The past week I've been working on something else altogether, closer to what I was originally hired for. I mean, COVID changed everything. I don't think anybody can argue with that. Anybody anywhere in the world will certainly be able to tell you that COVID augmented your life and your work schedule and how you do things. Anyway, I'm not exactly doing my job that I was hired for. You need to understand that I'm trying to express myself without harming anyone in the process, because the last thing I would ever want to do is hurt somebody. Anyway, COVID has messed up everything. You know that. I know that. We know that. Anyway, I've been rather stressed, and this week has been a departure because I'm, again, like I said, working more in somewhat of the capacity that I was originally hired for. Let's just dim this down a bit, shall we? Whoops. A little better? I still look like a ghost, don't I? Perhaps that's a little better. I'm an old white man with a shaved head, so, the light does what it does. Anyway, I'm closer in line to what I was hired for this week, but it's only for a week because I'm replacing a guy who was on vacation, who I trained for this position. And I only had 2 months to train him, and then COVID hit, and everything changed. That being said, he's done a wonderful job for the client. They love him, as they should, because he's just such a wonderful young man who is so conscientious, does such a great job, pays attention, learns quickly. I can't say enough positive things, and I've told him these. By the way, I have. I like to give praise to those who deserve it so that they know how you really feel. I've also praised him up to my bosses and told him point blank, he's a role model. And he is. And I'm like 25 years older than him. I mean, he could be my son. Actually, I think his dad's like a year older than me. Anyway, he's a great kid, and I love working with him, and I'm happy to help him out while he takes some time off, because his wife is now pregnant, and they're, making changes and plans and doing different things. Anyway, it's a different kind of anxiety and stress this week for work, because I'm dealing with a different set, a different group, and different stresses. But so far so good. And hopefully when I get back from vacation, because my vacation starts this Friday, September 17th at 4 p.m. Hopefully, after 2 weeks of rest and relaxation, I might head out west of Vancouver, or I might go to St. John's, Newfoundland. I haven't decided just yet. I'm traveling within Canada this year. I'm nothing international. I think you can understand why. Anyway, here's hoping that I have a job to come back to. I'm being honest. I'm concerned. This last project has taken its toll on me physically and emotionally, and I'm beginning to wonder if I'll still have a job. I mean, I do work with a great group of people, but everybody's been stretched to the limit. COVID has taken its toll. We have a big review on Friday. I'd say quarterly, but it's not. It's a 6-month review. Since our company, the company that I was hired by, was purchased by a larger company, so they do a 6-month review to see where we're at. And you know what? Things will probably be okay, but, when you have anxiety and depression, it doesn't matter what you've done, good or bad. All you ever hear is that little voice right back here, just crawling over and whispering in your ear, telling you things like, you suck. No, really, no, I'm good. No, you're terrible at your job. They're going to fire you. They're going to fire you because you suck. You don't know what you're doing, and everybody's going to find out. And what happens when they find out? They're going to fire you because you suck. You don't deserve this. You don't deserve a job. You should die in a ditch because you're a miserable piece of garbage. And that's what anxiety says to me. Now, I've done an okay job of ignoring it most of my life, but, I've been stretched pretty thin this summer. Everybody got a chance to take time off, except for me, and I know that sounds like I'm whining, and I guess that I am. I took one day off this summer. I took a Friday off to make it a 4-day long weekend around Canada Day. I haven't had any other time off. I've had Most of my coworkers have had a week here, a week there, 3 weeks here, 2 weeks there, mat leave, pat leave, that sort of thing. And I was, kind of left holding up the fort. Or so it seems. I don't know. I'm just wondering what happens if I come back from vacation. They go, you know what, it's been good, Paul, but yeah, there's no place for you anymore. And of course, that is what the anxiety is telling me. That's it, you're done. Forget it. Bye. See ya. You're worthless. We don't need you. Again, I'm not accusing anybody of making a statement such as that. That's the anxiety that just comes in here and says these things to you. And of course I'm fearful, because what if it's right? I don't believe that it is,